Where have some of your best shows been at? Is it, would you say it's San Antonio?
You know what? Some of the best shows have been overseas in Europe. In Europe, the crowds are very, very different. I call them soccer crowds, where I've had shows where people start stomping their feet.
That's
start
hard.
stomping their feet, and it's like a rumble.
The rumble.
The rumble in the room, and it's unless you experience it, man, it's just like wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and you don't know is that good or bad. The first time it happened, I'm like, they're pissed. They're gonna riot. And the guy's like, they love you. And I'm like, why are they stomping? We only stomp when we're trying to kill cucarachas or something, you know? And so they were stomping, and then the clap is different. So it's not like a regular applause. The clap, it was like stomp, 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 stomp. And then they do this.
Like hype.
And it makes the room vibrate.
Crazy.
So, yeah, overseas definitely some of the biggest shows.
Tight.
Greece was massive. We did a show in Greece, and the people did that in the building, and it made this incredible sound. That also happened in Saudi Arabia, of all places. In Saudi Arabia,
That's amazing.
They got excited like that.
How was it performing in Mexico?
Ooh, oh man, that was really, really for me a huge moment because I was scared. That performing in Mexico for me was terrifying.
What were you scared of? The crowd or the law or?
No, I was scared more so of the way I was going to be received. You know, I don't worry about these other countries. You know, I'm not from there. There's no direct connect and stuff like that. And again, people are excited. But with Mexico, I feel like if you're raza, si eres mexicano, and you attempt to perform in Mexico, especially if you're born here in the States, you're looked at like an outsider.
Like a
and
pocho.
Eres un pocho. And so you better bring it. And if you're coming short, you're coming weak, they're gonna let you have it. Like the interviews, I tell the story about how, and it's funny. This will get back to my publicist. I talk about how my publicist kind of ruffled feathers a little bit because he insisted that my interviews in Mexico be in English because my show's in English. So I don't want to go do interviews. Don't get me wrong, I speak Spanish, but it's different. It's Americanized. I learned it watching Telemundo and hanging out with people on the street.
Can you speak a little bit of Spanish for the people? Because right now I could imagine in the comments you're going to get called a no sabo kid.
No, yo no soy un niño de esos cebosos que no sabe. Yo entiendo. Yo puedo hablar español. Ese gordo sí entiende. Sí,
Fluffy's
yo
a no
entiendo.
sabo.
Oh, relax, bro, because then they'll start doing it. No, yo sí sé. You know, I'll be tuning all the music and the novelas and the getting yelled at as a kid.
That's right.
You know, because that was one of the questions with the reporters. Gabriel, do you speak Spanish? And I said, well, I can order food. Clearly, no problem. It's whenever people want to have a conversation about something that I'm not very familiar with. So like,
Well, yeah.
you know, that's when I get tongue tied because when I speak Spanish, I still think in English.
Of
and I have
course.
to translate it in my head, and sometimes the translation doesn't come out clean.
Yeah, I think in English.
You know. So
Do you think in English, Juan?
What?
Do you think in English?
Oh yeah, of course.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
that.
I'm born here.
No, and also too, I'm not trying to claim to be, you know, because there's some people that are very fluent and they can pass for being, you know, they got dual citizenship because they're so good. So my whole thing was I just wanted to make sure that when I did my show in Mexico, I was prepared and I was going to deliver a good show, but I was also anticipating the pushback from people saying, oh, él no es de acá, él no es mexicano de veras, él es un pocho, él es de allá. You know, a ver cómo se va a presentar. Él es comediante, pero él no es Franco Escamilla, él no es uno de esos otros comediantes que queremos. You know, big shout out to my buddy Franco. He actually invited me to go to Mexico and do a show in Spanish. So I did a show. I can perform in Spanish.
Oh, fire!
I just choose not to because it's very different.
But your personality and your wit still comes across the normal way.
Yeah, but I also let the audience know. I know who I am. I'm not trying to play it off. Yo sé que soy pocho. Yo sé que no soy de aquí. Yo sé que soy de allá.
Pero,
you know, ¿me entienden, verdad? Sí, te entendemos, gordito, te entendemos. Yeah, no, sí. So it was funny because my buddy Franco, he's huge in Latin America. And here in the U.S., he does incredible business, but his shows are all in Spanish. And so he invited me to perform with him in Spanish, and I invited him to perform with me in English. So I did a show in Mexico City, opening for him for 10 minutes in Spanish.
That's dope.
And I said, now you got to come to L.A. and you open for me at Staples Center, 10 minutes in English. And so, you know, we flipped it.
Who did better?
We both agreed we both suck in each other's We should never do that again.
That's
we should
right.
just hang out and eat and have fun. But scary, but it went over very well. And plus, my dad My dad and I had a reunion after 15 years in Mexico at that show.
That's amazing.
And I met my sisters for the first time at that show.
Very
so
nice.
it was a lot of things that happened, but the main thing was I was nervous and scared how Mexico was going to receive me.
And in the end, it was positive.
It was beautiful for many reasons, well received, and I had this incredible reunion. And I think that a lot of water now is under the bridge.